everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the ChitChat gaming podcast. I am your host, Maggie Bott, and I'm here with my co-host, Jason Hancock. Hi, Jason.
Hello, everyone.
The ChitChat podcast is intended on being a look into the lives of people who work in games and some of the more just conversational style stuff for like an hour and a half. This is our first episode, even though we have already recorded it before. We'll see how this goes, everybody.
First and a half, maybe? I don't know.
We're going to call that episode 0.
There you go.
Because it literally, like, everything under the sun happened to that poor episode, and it died. It died a sweet death. Yes. And we're done with it now.
So sorry. A rough start from the get-go.
Well, and so I figured we'll start this out. If you have not met us before, Jason and I met through the internet. He does another podcast with another Jason. I have been doing vlogging and gaming stuff for a few years now, and I've always kind of wanted to do a podcast, but you know what the stopper was for me? Someone had to edit the thing.
Yes.
And Jason offered to edit this, which is a huge gift to me.
Oh, yeah. My pleasure.
I'm excited to get started with it. So tell me about your podcasting. Like, how did you get into it?
It's kind of funny. So my podcast is Docking Bay 94 podcast with Jason Washburn. And we had met over the internet as well. He had launched a game called Hooch that he was trying to self-publish. And I had featured it into a blog that I was doing at the time called Kick the Box. And we kind of started talking that way. And at the time, I was already kind of tattling with the idea of doing a podcast for whatever reason. I had some extra time on my hands. And so we started chatting and we both decided to do it. I did the research and kind of the legwork of it. And we've been doing it for like the last year and a half, I think almost 2 years now. And it's having different people on from the board game industry, reviewers, artists, publishers, whoever will come on and talk to us about different aspects of the board gaming industry, from playtesting to publishing to doing art. We just like talking about games, and I'm curious and nosy and want to know about everybody's business. So,
So where is the name from, though? Because you had Kick the Box. Why wasn't it just the Kick the Box podcast?
We're both huge Star Wars geeks, so it's a reference to that.
Okay.
So there's always all kinds of Star Wars references throughout.
Oh, well, sure. Like you do. I'm more of a Star Trek person than a Star Wars person, so.
Yeah, I like my Star Trek, but I'm more of a fantasy guy than than sci-fi. And Star Wars is very much a fantasy setting.
Totally. I mean, it basically is the same story that's told in a lot of fantasy stories. It just replaced dragons with robots and you're good to go.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. I always kind of like that about Star Wars. It's like they tried to do sci-fi, but really couldn't kick their fantasy habit, like, no matter what they were doing.
The Star Wars story of Luke Skywalker is a hero finding his way, or the young boy, young man, or whatever finding his way as a hero in the world, which is typical of any fantasy almost, or was a Roman and mythological stories.
Right. I mean, it's a very hero trope story. Yes. Orphaned, the whole nine, like the whole nine.
Yeah. You got the wise old man that that helps him along the way, and you've got the chattering robots that are the comedy relief, and you have the.
He literally finds the power from within to like help them.
Yes,
right?
Totally. Yes, very much so. And as a child, that was very appealing, and still as an adult, I love it. I mean, I definitely love Star Trek. I watched the Star Trek series and I watched Next Generation. I didn't get into Deep Space Nine that much, and Babylon and all those. I did watch Voyager. I liked it with Captain Janeway. And I watched a couple episodes of, what's the one with Quantum Leap? Scott Bakula. I can't remember. Man. But I did watch a couple episodes of that one and enjoyed it, but it just didn't suck me in as much as I like Scott Bakula.
Well, Janeway is like Scully in space, so she's pretty much my favorite.
Yeah.
I will say that. I know people give her a hard time, but there were some really cool episodes in there. But so back to gaming, because we don't want to go on a whole Star Trek spree, even though I saw the new movie and it was a really fun action movie and whatever.
Did you like it? Because I'm thinking about going to see it.
So Star Trek was one of the first movies I ever saw as a marathon. Like when I was younger, I had all of the movies, so I've seen them all a million times. So when they started doing the new ones, when they redid Wrath of Khan, like don't redo things that are good still.
Yeah.
Redo the bad ones.
I know, right?
take the unwatchable movies and make them watchable. So I'm glad we're past the old movie remakes, and this one was pretty fun. It had fun moments, and it was much more of an action movie than the other ones. It had one stupid scene where the Enterprise is like crashing to the earth and everyone's trying to run out of the way of it, and somehow one guy gets crushed and no one else does. Ridiculous. Come on.
Right.
It was just like, it was really, really bad. Like, just flagrantly awful. But that was the one moment in the whole movie.
Wrath of Khan, the original Wrath of Khan is great. I remember watching that as a kid as well. And I'm really enjoying the remakes. And
I like it just fine. I just thought it was dumb that they chose a movie that's still very watchable to remake and put Benedict Cumberbatch in a role like that where I don't know that he's gonna come back as that same character later like Khan did, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I'm just happy they're making more of them, honestly, and they're not as egregious as the Star Wars remakes, so whatever.
I enjoyed Force Awakens.
Did you? Okay, I thought it was fine. I thought all of them are watchable, I guess. They're much more like the 1, 2, and 3 are like love stories and kind of boring for love stories.
Not even good acting love stories.
They just wear on a little bit, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. It did give me a new superpower, though. We're going to keep going on Star Wars.
All right, we'll switch.
I have found an instant way to bug anyone on this earth. Speak like Jar Jar. It's actually very fun to do, and man, does it make people angry.
It's so annoying. Such an annoying voice.
It's so good. I started writing people like little birthday like love notes and stuff, but doing it spelling it out as if I was writing in Jar Jar.
Jar Jar speak.
So good. So, but really though, games, we do like them.
Yes. As long as they don't have Jar Jar in them.
Oh man, that is a mini I would paint. I would do that.
Nice.
Someone get me a Jar Jar mini. I will make this happen. But I figure we can tell our audience of whomever's going to be listening to this a little bit about what we like to do in gaming and like more on our tastes, because they might not know us for some reason.
For some odd reason.
What have you been playing? Anything you love lately, or what are some of your favorite things?
So, as many who do follow me know, I have been in the middle of a move for the last month and a half. So I finally got a dining room table up, and I finally had my first game night in our new house this last Friday, actually. So before that, it was running a little dry on games. A couple friends of mine, Dusty and Nikki, good friends of ours, came over, and we kind of did an impromptu night. They brought over Codenames After Dark that Dusty had just picked up at Target on his way over, actually. Which we played a couple games of that, and that was fun. Definitely like it better than Cards Against Humanity. So played a couple of that, and then we played Dark Dealings by Nevermore Games, which is a pretty fun little 30 minute game.
Yeah, I saw the box for that one at the store. Tell me about it, because I haven't really played it.
Kind of reminds me of Boss Monster in the way that you're the big bad evil guy, and the heroes are trying to kill you. So you have 2 decks of cards. You have the heroes that have certain amount of health and a certain type of 3 different types of damage that will defeat them. And some of them had different abilities that will affect such things in the game. And then you have a deck of cards that are like your defenses. So the first thing you do is you draft like a 7 Wonders or Sushi Go draft. You pick 2 heroes and you keep them and then pass them on. And then you do that till the last round. You pick 2 and discard 1. Those go into your hand. That's your hand of cards. And then your defense cards, they get pulled out in the center of the table. And you pick 2 of your heroes in your hand. Each hero has a number. Everybody shows them at the same time. And then whoever has the highest number of hero gets to pick out of that defenses first. And then you go numerically from ascending from the highest to the lowest number. Each player gets to pick one of those defenses. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, the heroes that have the high numbers are usually the harder ones to beat. As you pick them, they go face down in a pile. So those will be like the last ones that you'll be fighting if you use your high ones early on. So you keep doing that until you've used up all your heroes. And then everybody flips over from that pile of heroes that you've played down, face down. One at a time, flip a hero up. And then depending on what your defenses are, they have a certain amount of hit points they'll take off for certain types of defense. And they have certain special abilities, like the kind of interesting thing is that defenses have, a lot of them have numbers on like 3 of the 4 sides. So whenever you use it, and then you rotate it 180 or 90, and then that's the type of defense you have next time you go to use it until it's extinguished. So it's just basically, then everybody does that one at a time, trying to take out each hero as they play it up in front of them. Once the last person who's not knocked out wins. It's like a 20-30 minute game, plays really quick. A lot of fun, some interesting decisions on when you want to play your heroes to try to grab defense cards you need, knowing that those heroes may be close to the top if they're the higher numbered ones. Or do you save them, get your cards that you want defense early, that type of thing. So a lot of fun.
Okay.
Hopefully that kind of makes sense as a rundown.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of these kind of drafting, like simultaneous reveal type games, and it's always nice to see what people can do with them.
The first time we went through it was kind of like we didn't really know what to do, what we're looking for, and Nikki almost got knocked out like instantly because she kind of dogged herself on picking the wrong defense cards for the hero that came up first. The second time, it came down to where we only had like 2 or 3 heroes in our decks before one of us started getting knocked out. And the knockout isn't bad because once somebody goes out, everybody's at that point of, going out quickly.
Yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So it was like I said, it had some interesting decision. It was fun for a 20, 30 minute game. I'd like to play it. I do have to say I want to play it with 6 people because I think that'd be like that fun chaos type. With 3, it works well. It plays up to 6. I would like to play it with the full gamut of 6.
Yeah, that's definitely not like type of game for me, I don't think. But I totally understand what you're saying.
It might be a good con game for you because it's one of those games that
Sure,
you can BS with your friends, and it's not a lot of thinking. No, yeah.
Con games are a great way of putting that. Just like let's just pass some cards and chat over the whole game anyway, and
trash talk
something.
Talk a little. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one.
That's a perfect game for that.
Yeah, I'm hoping, so Ponzi Scheme comes out in the States this winter from Tasty Minstrel, and I'm really hoping that turns into a new con game, because it's so
finally, because I've heard so much about it from you, and I still have not played it.
I know. Well, no one has, because it was like, there were no copies, just nothing.
Yeah.
So me and a handful of people I had forced to play it with me have played it.
Right.
Like at one point when it first came over, my friend Nicholas brought the copy for me from Germany to the States, and I was getting offers of ridiculous amounts of money for it, like $150, $200.
Wow.
Yeah, like straight off without me asking if people wanted to buy it. Like I wasn't selling it.
Right.
People just saw that I had it. So I'm excited for people to try it, and I do think it's got some value in game groups, but it's got so much value for conventions. It's going to be the perfect game.
What's the player count for that?
So that one is 3 to 5, and it works best at 4.
Okay.
In my humble opinion, it's a trading game. It's kind of cool when you don't know the other people playing because it's got this really cool trading mechanic. You're trying to get physical properties like industry tiles, and that's all your points at the end of the game. And the way that you do that is if you and someone else at the table have the same type of industry, like you and I both have a yellow industry tile, I can hand you an envelope with cash in it, You look at the money and you have two choices. You can take the money out and hand me the tile. No one else at the table knows how much money that was, by the way. It's an opaque envelope. Or you can put that much more money into the paper. So if I handed you 20, you could put $20 more into the envelope, hand it back to me, and I have to hand you my tile. So every time you hand someone that envelope, you risk losing your tile. So you have to like start figuring out everyone at the table, like their relative value for how much a tile should cost. It's really cool and interesting.
Huh, that sounds interesting.
And like I said, like if you play with people you don't know, it's a lot harder to like know the right amount of money to put in that envelope to get your desired result. Because sometimes you do want them to give you money because you need money to pay off interest that's coming up that round or whatever. Like the way that the game ends is when someone goes broke and can't pay off their interest. So you always have to have enough money for your next scam, right? Like, it's coming up. Everything's coming due all the time. And it's really, really fun.
So the person with the most money when that happens wins? It's like drop dead?
No. So there's two different ways. So when someone can't pay their bill, the game ends. And then the industry tiles that I mentioned that you're trading for, they become your points. So 1 is worth 1 point, 2 is worth 3, 3 is worth 6, 4 is worth 10, like triangle scoring. And then there's two different ways to score it. You can give an amount of points to the person with the most money at the end, or what we do is we use, they're called luxury items, and you are forced to buy them during the game. They're not a lot of points, and they take a lot of cash, but they're the only other source of victory points in the game, and they have swung the game for us several times. So I find those to be more interesting than most money, because we want to encourage people to trade and have to use their money for stuff, rather than hoarding. Because there is a way to play the game with, like, not that many loans taken out and a little more fiscally reserved, and like you could play it where you're not actually going crazy and having to pay a bunch of interest, but it's not as fun. It's not as funny.
Almost break the game in a way.
I mean, what's nice is that there's a couple mechanisms in there that help make that not a great choice. There are market crashes and stuff where you really want people to take bears out of the environment. And if they're all taking like loans that are super small and stuff, it makes the game end a lot faster.
Oh, interesting.
Which is nice, yeah.
Yeah, I want to play that.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming soon. I'm telling everyone and their mother about it because my distributor reps, I was at work doing my pre-orders for it, and none of my distributor reps had played it or heard of it. And I'm like, oh no. So the stores aren't finding out about it. So if you have a friendly local game store that you go to, please let them know about this game. Make sure that they try it.
Yes, I will let the local ones here know.
It's one of those things where like I'm really worried that it's not going to do well, and it really should. It's just got a funky name and kind of a funky idea behind it, so who knows.
So you said Tasty Minstrel Games is bringing it over?
Yes.
Are they kickstarting it?
No, it's just coming out. It's already pre-ordered, and it should be out, I think, 60 days from now or so. So what are we at? August? So sometime around October is our guess. But that's right in the Spiel Essen season, so that should be lining up nicely.
Anything else you've been playing?
Kind of in a weird game spot. I'm really, really behind on new games, but I did get to play two things I should probably mention. The new revised version of Agricola and Vast the Crystal Caverns. So the revised Agricola, I had played a lot of Agricola when I was very new to gaming, and I played it so much that I kind of burned out, so I hadn't played it in years. But there's this element of Agricola for me that was always not as fun, that you get into these patterns of best cards or combos or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like everyone drafts and you get the cards and you kind of go, oh, I got this one, so I should probably get this one, that one, and this one. Like you kind of get these patterns.
Right.
So the revised edition...
Kind of what I call the Puerto Rico syndrome.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, which Puerto Rico's a fabulous game, but if you play it enough with the same people over and over, you fall into the same groupthink pattern.
Yes, exactly.
So the revised edition, the cards are way less powerful. They're better early game. They're generally just sort of positive, but not crazy anymore. So that was like a huge difference in playing this version versus playing the original. Like, I don't think you could build a broken engine out of these cards. They're not strong enough. And then you remember, like, halfway through the game, we're like, oh, man, Agricola's really hard. That friggin' harvest is coming all the time.
Yeah. I've actually not played Agricola.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just, nobody has it, and ever since Caverna's out, nobody brings it to my meetup or anything. So,
have you played a Caverna?
I have Caverna, and I really like it.
I mean, Caverna is the one I own of the two because I kind of prefer the more like I'm gonna get that tile and then someone steals it from you and you just curse at them for the next 2 years. Yeah, like that's a good moment. But Agricola is the opposite. You do most of your planning before the game starts. You draft these cards and you kind of make a plan and then you try and execute it the best you can. Caverna is really about getting to that scoring tile that you work toward and like hoping that it's still there by the time you get to it.
Right.
I do like them both for different things. I wish I was more of a 2-player person because Fields of Arla is my favorite of the 3. I don't know if you've played that guy.
I have not. I would like to though, but I have not.
That is a huge game. Man, that's a huge game. But it's a lot of hours and a lot of cool thoughts and a lot of screwing yourself over because you didn't realize the things you needed to do and which order you needed to do them, and it was really good. I know they have a 3-player expansion coming out, so I'll probably end up picking that up to try and help me because I don't get a lot of 2 players in.
I end up playing a lot of 2 players, so.
Fields of Arla should be on your list then, like more than Agricola.
Would you think of Vast? Because I've got it sitting here. I haven't got to play it yet. I'm curious your thoughts.
Okay, so
I saw you tweeting about it, so.
No, they're long and complicated thoughts. I'll try and keep it short. Vast is a up to 5-player asymmetrical game in which you choose the characters that are going to be involved depending on your number of players. So let's say we're a 4-player game, which I think this is a 4-player game. I'm going to say that right out. There are ways to play it at every player count, but I like the 4-player best. So you can play the knight, the dragon, the cave, or the goblins. The knight needs to kill the dragon needs to kill the knight, the cave wants to kill everybody, and the goblins are trying to kill the knight as well. The dragon can also win by just waking up, which is like their special thing that they do, and just leaving. And
nice.
The dragon's like, oh, F this noise, I'm out. This cave is collapsing. So everyone plays one of these elements. So if you're the dragon, you're trying to wake up, and the way that you do that is it's a card-driven mechanic. So you play cards every turn to move around the board, try and find crystals, and eat goblins, because that's the one way you're going to wake up is by removing all these sloth cubes from your board. And then the turn that you wake up, you can like pop up to the surface, and then the turn after that, you could leave. The knight plays a really interesting resource management version where the more grit you have, which is something you get through lots of different effects, then you earn more action cubes. The action cubes make you stronger or faster or move farther or do more things. The goblins have a really weird mechanism. It's kind of card-driven, kind of not. And they mostly play in the unflipped over tiles, which then they have to work with the cave, who is putting out all these tiles and knows where all the bits are. So as the cave, your goal is to get all your tiles out and then collapse upon everyone else and kill them all. And the only way to get lots of tiles out is to work with the knight, who reveals the most tiles. It's like a really weird interpersonal relationship between all of these people. I knew I was going to go long on this, but
that's okay.
So the Vast thing, here's where I land. It's a really interesting game, and if I had buddies that came over to drink beer and play in my garage every Saturday, that's exactly the kind of game I would want. Because over time, it's going to develop a good style of that same groupthink I was talking about before, right? Like, you get to the game night and you all fight over who's going to be the knight or the cave that night because you have something you want to do with it. The strategy of the game is not super, super deep. There's not a lot of strategy to it, but there's a lot of interpersonal strategy to it. It's like a diplomacy style thing. Because the cave needs to work with the knight, needs to work with the goblins. The dragon needs to eat the goblins and avoid the knight, needs to kind of have the cave keep people in check until they don't, because the cave wants to help people, wants to hinder them, and wants to win, right? Like, everyone has different objectives. But the strategy, like, it's not a hugely mechanics-driven game or anything. It's just, like, it's a pretty light game, but it's very, very person-based.
Very meta.
It's funky, yeah, it's super funky. So the biggest problem with Vast is learning it. And I have now played 3 times. I played a 2-player, a 5-player, and a 4-player. And each time I feel like I'm playing it more closely to how it's supposed to be played. But unfortunately, the rule books, I'll pluralize that. You get one kind of overview page, and then each player, the cave, the knight, the whatever, gets their own little rule book.
Wow.
And you don't really know if anyone else is playing correctly.
Oh, yes.
I tried to just read straight through all the rule books, and I couldn't make it. It's so hard. I tried real hard. And then the 5th player one is, I don't know if it's a cop-out or if they really wanted it to go to 5, but it's this thief who just kind of comes back to life a bunch of times and is trying to find treasure and hide it. And it's just this weird, like, felt very add-on mechanic, but I kind of want to play it with the creators now to see how it actually works. But you can play in any configuration. If you're 3 players, you can choose any 3 characters. You could play just the thief and the knight and the goblins if you wanted. You all get, like, secondary goals. If the dragon's not in the game, you need this. If the knight's not in the game, you need this other thing. And so everyone gets like a secondary something they could do.
It sounds very interesting, and I backed it because the whole asymmetrical concept, not just asymmetrical powers, but everybody's asymmetrical goals and the interlinking, like you explained, sounds very interesting. And I so want to get it to the table. But teaching it, I can see would be a pita. Yes.
I will say this for anyone listening. If you would like to play Vast the Crystal Caverns, do not give the most apathetic player at the table the cave. They will find it boring. They will not get it. I have now played with 2 very different cave players. One who was just not enjoying it and kind of just putting tiles out, and one who was super all about it and having a time of his life trying to like manipulate the whole board. And it was 3 times better with a good cave player because the cave is probably the most nuanced role. So that is your linchpin right there to that game being successful.
So would you almost say the cave is like the GM of the game in that sense? So a bad GM can ruin an RPG? A good
in a way, yeah. But you don't need to make it the most experienced player. You could totally put a new player into the role. It's not hard to learn. Like I said, none of this is super deep strategically. Like there's not that much to learn. Everyone has pretty straightforward rules. But you definitely want someone who's paying attention to what other people are doing and where they are and how they move and, like, enjoying themselves. So if you have that one guy, don't give that guy the cave. Like, we all have that one guy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, I just mean as far as making and breaking a game. I mean, in a sense, so.
I could see why the game got made once I saw a successful cave player.
Yeah.
And he didn't even get to collapsing the cave. He was pretty disappointed that he couldn't even get to that. Every other player was within a turn or 2 of winning when the dragon won. So it was a really, really tight finish. But the cave wasn't. They were the least successful, but I'm sure that can change over time as you learn the game.
Nice.
Yeah. That was a lot of Vast. I knew it was going to be a long one though, because it's so weird, right?
It is.
It's so weird. I did not back the Kickstarter though. I'll be perfectly honest. I saw the Kickstarter, hey, that could be cool. Mm-hmm. I totally thought it was Chris Lader, the guy that did Roll For It. I did not realize it was Jared Lader.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole different game company called Lader Games. That is not the same person. So I was happy to go up to the booth at Gen Con. I was kind of putting it off because I wanted to do a full demo, and then I was at the Dice Tower Live event and they mentioned the game, and I knew that the copies were super limited, so as soon as the Dice Tower live thing got out, I ran over to the booth.
Nice.
Because they did sell out eventually, so I'm glad I did it. I knew they were going to. I was just being lazy because I wanted a full demo first, and I didn't do that, so I didn't play till I got home.
I did get to play Trickerion again.
Okay, how'd it go the second time?
It's actually my 3rd time, and I taught Dusty. It was his first time, and it went well. The game is pretty easy to teach, actually. To me, the hardest part to teach is how the tricks work and how the theater works.
Okay.
To me, is the hardest part to teach of that game. Went well. We had fun. I won by 1 point, so it was a close game. And it was a comeback win, too. He was ahead for a good part of it, and I got one final big performance at the end, so... Trickerion is definitely one of those games. The more times you play it, the better you're going to be at it.
Yeah.
So...
That's a good thing. I like that better in a game than a game that you can just suss out right away.
Right, yeah. Totally. He liked it. He had kind of a mixed feelings, but it's a little bit heavier game than what I think he prefers. So
sure.
He felt it kind of fiddly at times, which I can see that, but a game of that weight, I don't think it's too fiddly for that. But that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I went to several new game nights recently. I've just been kind of bopping around town, but I went to like a friend's house that's like an hour out of town. So I've been invited to his game night for like 6 months, and I never made it because it's just so far away. But I ended up doing that stupid thing in Power Grid where I thought I was behind. I thought he was winning, and I was trying to tell the table that. And I did math it out at one point. At one point, he was winning. Oh. And then I won by like $20 at the end. I felt really bad. Oh. Like, I did that thing. But I thought it was going to be like that comeback win for him because he was behind, and then he like pulled out ahead. Oh, man. I still love Power Grid. That's like the best.
That game is so much fun.
Well, and it was with people who hadn't played it before. It was two of the 5 of us at the table hadn't played. It's so fun infecting other people with that game.
Yes. You just play the regular board?
Yeah. Well, and I hadn't played Germany in a really long time because my friend Ross, who does like regularly games with me, has like all the maps. I just have Germany and the United States, so I gotta catch up.
How many maps are there to that now?
At least 6, but I'm sure there are more if I thought about it. Like, the problem is that they're all double-sided, right? So sometimes you're thinking of one side or the other. True. Northern Europe and Australia, Japan, China, India, Korea. Like, I can think of all of them individually.
Is there India, Korea? Oh, I didn't know that.
India has brownouts, and the Korean map is nuts. If you build in North Korea, you can't build into South Korea. But there's like this weird like middle bit.
Awesome, right? That's totally thematic too.
The Chinese map, like the power plants will come out in order. There's a northern UK one that's pretty fun. I think Russia is our new like teach map. If we're gonna teach someone for the first time, we usually teach them on Russia.
Oh really? Why is that?
It's just it's a nice solid board with like no position, like opening positions are really going to screw you over, where I found that Germany, new players tend to get screwed over by some of the like weird positioning on the board.
Yeah.
We did do them the nicety, like we were 5 players, so we blocked out one of the bottom most spaces, but normally we block out stuff in the middle just to make things more difficult.
Right.
But that's not nice. That's not nice.
I have seen people get boxed into a weird corner because of the way 2 people had built, kind of cutting them off almost for part of a game.
Well, and very rarely do you see them willing to take one sacrificial turn and just build like something stupid expensive to get out of it, and they just wait. And you're like, no, don't wait. Get on this train. Just leave them without you. You know, because you can't fall too far behind in-house production in that. You just can't. You need the money. Ugh, it's a bummer to watch that, but it didn't happen too bad in this game. It just happened a little bit. Poor new players.
Damn newbies.
Aw. We were all new ones too.
Right. Other than that, the meetup, I got a chance to play Firefly Legendary, which I know you're not excited about the Legendary system, but it is Firefly, so...
I heard the art was heinous, but that's all I've heard so far.
Yeah, there is some pieces of the art that is pretty horrendous, but there is also some pieces of the art on the cards that are actually really good.
Okay.
So the horrendous ones just make the other art look that much better.
I don't know. I saw the cover and I was like, are you kidding me right now?
The Firefly cover is better than the Big Trouble in Little China cover.
No, Big Trouble in Little China needed to look like that because that matches the movie.
Well, but
it's so
that went to the other extreme, though.
So Firefly, is that like the Encounter style, or which style? Marvel, or not Marvel, Legendary is that?
Yeah, it's more like the Alien and Predator Encounters one. You scan the cards as they come up. The kind of cool thing is that each game is 3 episodes of the show that are actually based on the episodes. I don't know what they're going to do for expansion since they did that, but hey, what do I know?
They're going to find out real soon that you run out of show.
Right.
Real fast.
Real fast.
Oh man, I want to play the Bounty Hunter episode then, like the out of air one. Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, you can do them in order, or you can mix up and just do whatever shows. There's like a section that are A, section that is B, and sections to C. So you pick one of the ones that's A, one of the ones that's B, and one of the ones that are C, because they're in difficulty wise. Yeah. I like the legendary system. It's just a deck builder, but it works. To me, it works. I like you use the attack to scan, and then you may have to attack, or it may just be an event that doesn't affect anything. One of the things they did different with Firefly, which I don't think they did in Aliens and Predator, that each person has an avatar of one of the main characters. So I was Zoe, because Zoe's badass.
Yeah, duh.
I played Zoe, and then we had three of the other characters, and since there's four of us playing, you set one of the other characters off to the side. And then the deck, your hero deck, or what is normally your hero deck, is of the characters that aren't actually playing in the game. You use their decks of cards, and those are what you're buying to build your decks up. The first one we did was the train one? No.
Okay.
I don't know which one. I don't remember what it was. But what our goal was to do was find 3 smuggling pieces. And to do that, you had to obviously scan it, reveal it, and then you had to spend currency to buy them, quote unquote, buy them, to acquire them. And Zoe and Mal, they could buy or acquire it for like only 2 currency, where the other characters could buy, it cost them like 4 or 6 or something like that. So you're trying to kind of time out to find them. And then hopefully one of them can buy it cheap. And then if anything got across and dropped off into the combat zone, and you had to kind of kill it. Otherwise, each player is getting attacked every turn, and they actually have a health. And you draw from a random deck, and you can take between 1 and 5 damage. If you went over your health, like Zoe had, I think it was 11. If I took 11 damage, then I am out until somebody healed me. Not out of the game, but I really can't do anything until somebody could heal me. So, and the other kind of cool thing is that there is ship damage and crew damage. So you could either get hurt, like I was saying about Zoe, or your ship could actually get hurt. And if your ship takes like 5 hits, then everybody loses. Everybody's dead. So that was kind of interesting that there's 2 types of damage in that game. Pretty fun. I liked it. We lost badly in episode 2. I don't remember which episode it was because, we didn't make it very far. You get so depending on how successful you are on the previous mission, you get so many credits you can spend on upgrading your ship or healing your ship. Okay. And we didn't have a lot to spend, so it wasn't going into the second episode very, very healthy.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
But if you are a Legendary fan, or if you like the Legendary system, and you like like Firefly, then I would strongly suggest it. Checking it out.
I would say it's kind of a no-brainer to use something that's pretty solidly built already. Like the Legendary system is pretty well good to go. So as soon as they put an IP on it that you like, it's probably a good bet.
Yeah.
Like, there's not really been a stinker yet in that line.
No, and I don't know if it's meant to be a thinker. I think they're meant to be, like you said, they're IP based. So it's kind of like the Firefly board game. That's not a real thinker, but you enjoy the universe, you enjoy the world, you enjoy the characters. You're going to enjoy. They do a good job of encompassing the verse.
Yeah, I think the only way I'd probably like a Firefly-based game is if they took something kind of abstracted out of the universe and focused a little bit on that one thing, because it's the only way you're going to be able to make a very strategic game out of that IP. Because it's so over-the-top, space, travel, jokes, like, there's so much going on in that show that doesn't make for really good strategy games.
No, yeah, I agree. But to get the feel, I think the Firefly board game, even though it does run long and it's not a perfect game, captures that pick up and deliver, doing missions, doing side jobs very well. And I think Legendary, doing the episodic way they did it, of setting it up, does a good job of kind of capturing the feel of the TV show.
That's great, though. Well, I'm glad. I'm always happy when they make an IP game that is presentable and good for the genre. You see things like Spartacus did okay and a couple others, but there's not that many that have done real well yet. No. And that Portal game keeps selling, even though I played it and I was not super thrilled with it. Like, it wasn't as puzzly as I wanted it to be. The Portal, like, uncooperative game or whatever.
Right, yeah. Based on the video game.
Yeah. It was based on the video game. It's local up here in Seattle. Like, the people at DigiPen eventually made that. And so I wanted that to be... I wanted that to be factory fun. You know, like, I wanted that to be a puzzle-style game. Whereas they just made a funny-style game with a Portal IP. It's a really weird... balance act.
I've not heard anything good about it, so I have not actually played it.
It's real pretty, like the
yes, it is.
There's lots of little cake and things in there. It's real adorable, but that's about it.
It's kind of like the Ghostbusters board game.
Oh, I didn't mind Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was Zombicide. Like that, but you could not tell the difference between the two.
Except for the zombies come towards you in Zombicide, the ghosts run away from you in Ghostbusters.
But you need them. But you have to follow them. I don't know. I luckily had an amazing teacher for my game of Ghostbusters, because I probably wouldn't have played that normally, but I was at a trade show, and the Cryptozoic rep who now works for Passport Game Studios showed me Ghostbusters, and I had a good time. Like, okay. It was fine. It was kind of like, for me, it was exactly like playing Zombicide. Like, identical.
I wouldn't say it's identical, but okay, there is some resemblances, yes.
To be fair, I've only played Zombicide Season 1. I've not played any Black Plague or any of the other ones. It's just not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I'm honestly surprised you've actually played Zombicide.
I try and at least play, like, all the big name things if I can. Right. I'm a little behind right now, but I try.
I've played Zombicide. We've played, actually, we took Zombicide camping. That was like a camping game for me and Sonia for a while. Yeah. So we played a lot of the first season, and then the second one I have, and then by that time we really weren't playing it that much, so I didn't get any of the others. And the second one just added so much that it made it not fun. We just like going with the bare bones when we do play it. Then there's so many scenarios you can do with just the bare bones ones. I'm never going to get through all of them, so...
Oh, they're producing that game as if people do not buy other games, right? Like, there's so much content in that game at this point that you could just play a Zombicide. You could just be a Zombicide player, not a board gamer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how people keep up with all that stuff. My imagining is that they don't. They just buy it.
Right. I am kind of curious about the medieval one that they did.
I don't know which one.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Black Plague. Maybe that's the Black Plague one you were talking about.
Oh yeah. That's the one. Sorry, I know their product codes because I order them in for the store. Like, Black Plague did pretty well.
Yeah, I was kind of curious on that one, but I'm not curious enough to shell out the $100 or whatever it is.
Again, if I was at a con or a trade show and someone really had it in their bonnet to play it, like, that's the kind of game that, okay, I'll play that.
Yeah.
I played something called London Dread the other day, and that's exactly how I played it. It just happened to be there.
Is that the one that got a bunch of rave reviews or hot talk in Origins this year?
I don't know. The biggest talk for London Dread, unfortunately, which the game was not bad. I'll start this by saying it was not bad. It unfortunately, the English rulebook was missing a very important rule. So you could not play it unless you had read the BGG forum about it, or in my case, you had a lovely gentleman wander by and say, "Hey, I played that earlier. You're going to want to know this rule."
Oh, nice.
Because it's got a really cool Space Alert style action programming session. It's 12 minutes long. It's friggin' fun. But the resolving of that, like in Space Alert, you do your stuff and then you resolve it, you do your stuff and you resolve it. In this one, up to 2 times you do all your stuff and then you resolve it for freaking ever. Like, it's a 12-minute action selection and then at least 30 minutes to resolve all the actions.
Oh,
and
wow.
I wish I could inverse that, because like the actual planning, talking to each other, like deciding where you're going to be at the right time and the right part of the day to avoid the dread. That part was really fun and clever. Like that mechanism in the game is really cool. You have like a clock in any given part of the clock, you need to be solving plot cards. The plot cards are how you win. You have to hit every single plot. Like, you can't skip them, and they go in order. So if I want to be in the north part of the map and solve the plot card, which is number 2, I need to move north, and then I need to put a number 2 down. But I only have 2 of each number, and it takes me 2 hours to get anywhere. So if I want to go north, east, south, west, I have to make really good plans and try and maximize my time at any of those locations. And so it's that 12 minutes of everyone just trying to figure out where they're going to be and if they're going to have enough people there. And then the resolving is, throw some dice at it, draw some cards, do some stuff. It was interesting and flavorful. The actual like flavor text that you read out of like everything resolving is hilarious. But it was a con day for me. It's a quarterly event up here called Sasquatch Game Day, and so I went to this thing and we played it there, and it was all right for a con day. But I wouldn't play that at my like home night or whatever. And I don't know anyone that would own it. That's the problem too.
Sounds kind of interesting though.
Yeah, and it's Gray Fox Games, and they did Order of the Gilded Compass, which by name and type of game alone is not going to do so well, which is a good game. It's a gateway dice worker placement game. It's based on Alia and Acta Est, which was a great game when it was out. But they didn't really update it, and they did a really not great job of the rulebook. It has the exact same problem as Alia and Acta Est, where you don't know how things resolve and you have to go look up like old forums to find it.
Oh, jeez.
So this is their 2 games right now, like the Order of the Gilded Compass and London Dread. So I hope they do well at SN. I hope they do well because they're at least making interesting choices.
Well, is Gray Fox the one that did Champions of Midgard?
Yes, that was their money so far. What do you think of that one? Did you like it?
I played it twice now. One time was during the Board Game League at Cloudcap Games, and I've played it maybe once or twice since then. I do enjoy it. I like it. It's not perfect. It felt, I don't know, I want to say fiddly, but fiddly's not the right word because it's not a fiddly game, but it didn't feel smooth.
I don't know. I thought it felt fiddly. I thought
did it? Okay, maybe.
You get the thing over here and then you pay for it over there, and you're kind of like constantly moving stuff around but not feeling like you're doing a lot with it.
Okay, yeah.
It also had a lot of dice for me, but...
Yeah, I was going to say.
So many dice.
I liked it. I liked what it was trying to do, but I think it needed to be refined just a little bit more.
Yeah, Champions of Midgard came out at the wrong time with the wrong theme with the wrong fiddliness because Blood Rage came out that exact same time.
Yes.
And did it better. Sorry, your theme is now void.
Right.
Champions of Midgard was okay. It sounds like Gray Fox just needs a developer and a rulebook editor. But like that's all kind of growing pain stuff to me. I will always encourage smaller companies like that to make more interesting choices if it leads them down the line to more polished stuff.
Yes. I liked using the dice as warriors and whatnot. I thought that was kind of an interesting concept. I liked... What I kind of wish they did was kind of like what New Bedford did with whaling. Because you had where you... In Champions of Midgard, you sent your guys out. But how far you sent them out or to what beast to attack in that section... didn't really matter how far you went out. Like with whaling in New Bedford, how far you
it's
sent...
It's not whaling, it's whale watching, because you're talking to me. You take pictures. You can bring the pictures back.
Okay. Whatever.
I played the Marguerite variant when I went to a game night at a friend's bachelor party. We went whale watching. We took pictures. We developed the film.
So how do you explain the whales disappearing as the game goes on if you're just taking pictures?
Because you're tagging them and then they get scared and they run away.
Okay.
You're a research crew taking important information about these whales back to conserve more whales.
Gotcha. In the early 1900s.
Yep.
All right.
I had an entire group of people go with me on this. Don't worry.
I'll roll with it.
Well,
so whale watching.
Somebody I know compared New Bedford to Kalis, so I had to play it. but I didn't really want to kill whales. I don't know why. There's very few themes on this earth that will bother me, but apparently killing whales is one of them. So I will take their pictures and tag them for research later, and that'll be fine.
Yeah, I totally get that, except for it's unfortunately a part of our history and a part of what made our economy what it is today. But
I'm not saying that it wasn't a part of our history. I'm saying that I don't have to relive it.
Yes, this is
I am
true.
saying that whales are one of the few things that apparently bugs me. Colonialism and whales, and that's about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So in New Bedford, when you send your ships out for whale watching, it mattered how far you sent them out, because then you were able to gather more pictures of whales as you came in. How's that?
That's perfect. Yeah, no, I liked that. Like, you had to pay more resources to put your ship out for longer because they had to have enough food. And then you had several more turns in which to take pictures. And in Champions of Midgard, it didn't really work that way.
Yeah, exactly. It's an all right game. It's not one I bought, so it's not on my shelf. It's one I will gladly play. I don't hate it by any means, but it's not on my ask to play list.
So, coming up soon, we have a couple cons, and I've got a couple of dates and things happening. So are you going to be at BGGCon?
I will be at BGGCon.
All right. How many BGGCons is this for you?
This will be the second one.
Ooh.
Last year was my first one. So, yes, I had a blast, and I'm super excited to go again. Wash just got his ticket, so he'll be going
for
too.
anyone listening, is Talon Strikes on Twitter.
Yes.
That is... I know we mentioned his name, but sometimes, it's harder because he calls everything Talon Strikes.
This is true. So, but he got his ticket too, so we both will be down there this year again.
That's awesome. This is probably my most organized year. Normally, I get the ticket, and then I figure out the rest over the course of the year. This year, I actually got into the hotel block, and I got a room, and I put my friends on there. And, we figured this out. We've got a spreadsheet for who's staying where.
Nice.
Well, because I think 6 of us reserved rooms, and then we had to make sure that we didn't have too many or too few. And so at this point, I think we're one bed too few, so someone's going to bring me an air mattress.
Oh. Well, if something opens up, let me know, because I haven't reserved my hotel.
Oh,
yet.
no.
I am so unorganized when it comes to this type of travel. I still got to order my plane tickets, which I'll probably do here in the next week.
Well, plane tickets, So one of my friends told me 50 to 60 days out is the best time to buy plane tickets. So it's coming up really soon, but I hadn't done it yet, no.
Yeah, and I am following the transfer list for hotel rooms, so.
Oh, yeah, do that.
BGG has on their forums where people who are wanting to give up their hotels that aren't going to go will post in there, and then you just got to be quick on trying to answer, hopefully before somebody else does. And that seems to be about the best way they've been able to figure out how to do that.
And so BGG, I am so excited. It's literally my favorite con of the entire year. It's my favorite 5 days of the year, and it means the same plane ride. I go see my sister in Texas, so it's a one and done vacation for me. Tons and tons of stuff. But I will say, and I apologize to anyone I've done this to. People run into you at BGG and they're like, we should totally play a game later. And I go, yes, we should. And then they never see me again.
See you again. I don't know how that happens. You still owe me a game of cribbage from last year.
Oh my God. I didn't get a single game of cribbage in, and we all had our boards with us.
I had my board with me. I got 2 games of cribbage in at BGGCon on the last day with one of the Aiello guys.
It's just yellow. It's like the color.
Yellow. Okay.
That's why they wear yellow shirts.
Well, yeah, I know you had a bright yellow shirt. Okay, so yellow guys. So I got to play 2 games, and it came down. We were I won both, but it was within 5 point both games.
That's cribbage, right?
Yep.
I do think I'm going to take some time and either play EDH or cribbage this BGG con, because I didn't do either, and I brought both last time. I played 2 games of Walk the Dogs, though, so I spent my time pretty well.
I will have my board on me, so just hunt me down.
I'm trying to nudge gently Benny Sperling or Chris Urinko to bring a prototype of Druids. I don't know if you've seen this. Grant Rodiak has been coming up with something, and he's doing it with Daft Concepts, so it's like this laser cut board, and it looks really gorgeous. So I'm trying to see if Benny will have a prototype at BGGCon. That would be my highlight so far.
That would be cool, yes. I'm going to go with no plans again like I did last year because that seemed to work, so...
Who makes plans? I mean, you don't really need plans for BGGCon. The only thing to plan is a trip to a grocery store because there's no food at BGGCon.
This is true. Even though the restaurant isn't too bad, but it does get spendy.
For vegetarians, it's horrible.
I bet you it is. Yes, I could totally see that.
The little cash and carry bar that they do in the hotel, like I don't know if you went to that. There's like a little like pizza and soda type thing.
Oh yeah.
I like that thing. I wish the hours were better, but I really like that thing. But without a grocery store, it was a nightmare.
But the Starbucks there in the hotel is open, like I swear, 24 hours, so we're good.
And they're super nice. I love them.
They are.
Luckily my coffee orders are super simple. They did not want to deal with people. Like I could hear people doing their regular Starbucks order in front of me, and I'm like, they don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah. It's just a small little thing. Yeah, they've got like 2 types of coffee. That's it. Sorry,
right.
Pikes and whatever else.
I literally get an iced coffee. It's the easiest thing on earth. Like, just put ice in a cup and then pour coffee over it, and I'm happy. So BGG is going to be great. So coming up soon, I will have an Extra Life this year. So there's a marathon called Extra Life. It's in November. It's unfortunately overlapping with another con for me, but I'm going to do Extra Life because it's for charity. But it's 24 hours of gaming. You get people to raise money. I'm going to be doing it at work again, so for Card Kingdom and Mox Boarding House. And we're going to do dual streams. We're going to have a board game stream and an RPG stream, kind of like we did 2 years ago, if anyone was there for that. And I'm really excited. I just have to figure out who else is going to be there with me now. Are you doing anything for Extra Life yet?
I am not. I was planning on doing something, and then that just kind of got pushed to the side with the whole move thing and everything, and life has just been chaotic. Not that that's not a good excuse, but that's the one I'm using. And
if you'd like to drive 3 hours north for a couple of hours, you could come on our stream.
I may do that then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay. So ultimately I will be giving out spots to a couple of friends of ours and some of the owners of the company and stuff like that. But if you would like to drive up to Seattle, there will be some time for you.
Right. We'll have to work on the details of that.
I waited till we were recording to offer that.
I would love to do that, yes.
Awesome. And then the big one that you and I are both going to, I know, is OrcaCon in January.
Yay!
Yay! So OrcaCon is in Everett, Washington, which is in the no man's land north of Seattle.
Right.
It's like an hour north or something.
Well, it's not quite an hour. Well, it depends on what time you try to go through Seattle to get there, but... Yeah.
It feels like another planet. It literally does. It is in the realm of the, like, nothingness north of Seattle. I don't know. But OrcaCon is an inclusive, diverse, gaming-focused con in Seattle. It's amazing. It's run by a woman named Donna Pryor, who is prolific, if nothing else. Like, she does everything. And I'm super glad that she made this thing. And last year, Jason and I both were there for the first year of it.
Yes.
I thought it was like a really surprising con for me because I've been to a couple of local cons out here in Seattle and they're never that heavy gaming focused. And so I armed myself with a bunch of light stuff and like party games and kind of social stuff. And people were sitting down for longer, more involved things. I was really, really impressed. I was very happy with OrcaCon.
It had a lot of great games. I mean, you guys had a lot of great games with you. I got a chance to play Prodigals Club, and Sonia and I played Terra Mystica with you guys.
And our 2-player Battle of Nippon.
Yes! Down to the wire.
So good.
Nippon.
I still haven't played another 2-player game, but that was epic.
I've played it twice with 2 players. since we've played, and it's worked so well both times. But it wasn't as epic as that game. That was a close game.
That was a nail biter. Like, it was
Yes.
real good.
It was.
I still love Nippon. I've only had one bad game of it so far. And I've played like 8 or 9.
How do you have a bad game of it?
Imagine someone in that game not paying attention on other people's turns and then being a total butt about everything.
Yeah. No, okay, that'll do. So it wasn't the game, it was the player.
No, the game did not make that happen. No, there was one guy. There's always that one guy.
Right. It's always a guy, too.
More women in gaming means we can have that one girl.
That's right.
More diversity so that we can blame things on everybody.
Diversity of blame.
That's right. I look forward to inclusion and diversity and blaming for bad games. We had a little food drought in Everett too. We had some bad luck about getting food at that con again.
We did.
It'll learn us. I might just get a hotel room this time instead of driving up from Seattle every day. I think that'll make a difference because I can do a grocery run and bring groceries.
There's a couple of restaurants. The one was horrendous that we went to. Ugh.
That Chinese restaurant.
I won't be going back to that one. And the other one was just way expensive, and I know it didn't really have anything that you'd want on the menu when we walked in.
Oh, the one with the dead heads everywhere?
Yeah, yeah, that one. It's like, okay, this one isn't going to be for Maggie. I know. Sonya's like, all right, well, let's go then. That's pretty funny. So
we did go to the fancy Chinese food place the last night. I don't know if you were at that. I don't think you were. No, we went to like a nicer restaurant over there. It was delicious. It was amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was before everyone had to go on planes to get out of there. Because I looked out and had like you were up from Portland.
Yep.
One of my friends was in from New York, and another friend was in from Arkansas. So it was just like a really cool thing to have everybody that close to Seattle for me.
It was a lot of fun. I really look forward to in January this one. How many tickets do they have sold that they did through their Kickstarter? Any idea?
I know they did like 40 to 50% through the Kickstarter. I'm sure there are still tickets available, and it's OrcaCon.org. I'm really glad that it's like, doing well and kind of growing year over year. I know they're doing a whole nother ballroom in a different hotel with a shuttle for events or tournaments this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're going to do some sort of event tournament structure in a separate hotel.
Interesting.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited because it was just a lot of open gaming for me, which is exactly what I want. So
that's what I want out of a convention is just lots of new games, new and old games to play with different people.
Yeah, it's usually just the people. Like I went to Gen Con and people kept asking me, what games did you see? I'm like, I don't know. I saw my friend Tiffany and I saw these like other people. I had very few games to talk about.
That's kind of interesting that you bring that up about the ballroom because it looks like they had lots of room there to expand just within the motel itself. Was there something else going on, do you know, at the convention for OrcaCon or?
No, I think so. What they did last year for the first year of OrcaCon, there was a vendor hall and there was a gaming hall and a couple other rooms. And the vendor hall was super tiny. I don't know if you got in there.
Yeah.
But it was pretty small. It was about 12 or so tables with stuff for sale. And then there was a giant gaming space, which was taken over partially by Car Wars, like a big, giant Car Wars thing. Who knew that was going to be a thing?
I know,
And then just, like, a bunch of, like, blank tables and then, like, 2 conference rooms. So I think they're going to give a bigger vendor space. They're going to give some specific space out to events, but they're going to keep the gaming, like the open gaming the way it was.
Okay, perfect.
I think they allocated their volunteers a little funkily. Like, they had 5 people there at 3 a.m. for, volunteers. So we said maybe, like, make a smaller overnight space and just have 1 volunteer on, because it was weird, the amount of people they had to keep in.
Is the library going to be bigger? Or do I need to bring games up?
Probably be different. So what we learned, Card Kingdom and Mox Boarding House has a mobile library. We brought our normal mobile library.
Okay.
And almost everyone that came up was either looking for something like a recommendation or they were looking for new things. And our mobile library is made up of tried and true for the most part. Like, you want universally amazing things for outgoing type of events. So I think this time around I'm going to suggest that they bring newer stuff that people haven't maybe played yet. even if it's not going to be part of the mobile library going forward, it can still be part of our library at work. So it's going to be slightly different, I think, this time around.
Okay, cool. Well, it's the growing pains of a con.
Yes. Well, we learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun anyway. The raffle
definitely
was annoying, just like every other raffle ever.
Yes.
But that was the only bad part.
I don't know how you fix that, though.
You can't. I've seen people try, and there's no way to fix it. Raffles at cons are just going to be annoying. Next time, I'm not going to stand near the speaker.
Well, that might be a little helpful.
Yeah, no, the library was exactly like a foot away from the speaker where they were announcing everything, so it was the worst.
Anything else you got going on? I mean, I know you got tons going on, but anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's about it. The same week I have Extra Life. There is the Sasquatch Gaming Festival, which is a 5-day festival up here in Seattle. But because Extra Life is on that same weekend, I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to see. I also have a game marathon coming up at a store called Blue Highway Games, and that's 24 hours of craziness. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be my 3 24-hour things in next month.
Oh, wow. I was going to say.
My next 3 weekends are ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah. And then you go and crash for at least a day.
Yes. And then I go to a trade show out in Atlanta. So we'll see how this all goes. But
Wow.
The Marathon of Blue Highway, which last year was my first year doing it, what was nice is that we probably played fewer games than most people there, but we got to play long ass like splatter games, 3-4 hour long stuff, because like you just have the people and the time to sit down and just play anything you want. So you can kind of bring your wish list with you. I will probably get another game of Arkwright in, because I've been getting some games of Arkwright in lately. I'm at like 7 or 8 games of it now.
Wow. Yeah. Nice. I have not played it once. I'm jealous. I am so jealous.
It is exactly what you would want out of like that high thinky strategic Euro spreadsheet type game where all the things just work well together, and it's really, really cool. And no matter how well you teach it, it's still going to last like 4 or 5 hours. It's so good.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty spreadsheet game. I want to play it.
You should, yeah, definitely. If not by then, OrcaCon. Like, I will teach you how to OrcaCon.
Okay. Fair enough. How many people does that play to?
Up to 4.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't sure if that was a 5 or not.
I would only play it at 4. If I could just pick a number, I wouldn't choose 3 or 2. I would just play it at 4.
Well, I can't imagine that, from what I've seen, working too well with 2.
It loses a lot. You have this really crazy demand tracker. So
that's what I mean, yeah.
When you build a factory, you build it, it has like a certain value. The value minus the price you set gives you the demand, which tells you the maximum number of cubes you can sell of that good and the order in which you'll sell it. So having 2 players to interact with that demand is not nearly as fun as 4. So
I can see that.
Yeah, it's a really good 4-player game. All right, well, I think that's good for episode 1. I think we didn't do half of what was on our outlines.
We did 2/3. We talked about games we played, and we talked about events coming up.
True that. We are all going to cross our fingers right now that the post-production of this goes better.
Oh my goodness, yes. It's got to go better. It can't go worse.
Can't go worse. All right. Well, Jason, where can we find you on the internet?
At JA_Hancock. HANCOCK.
On Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter.
Okay.
Isn't that what you said? Did you say on Twitter?
I said internet, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
really
the only thing. That's it, right? We use the internet for something else besides Twitter.
Every once in a while.
Email, I guess, you know.
Well, and I am your host, MaggieBot. I can be found MAGGIBOT on Twitter, Facebook, BGG. You can also find me at patreon.com/MaggieBot. Everyone is helping me pay for games and equipment in order to do these amazing things with you, and it's going super well. I also run a collaborative website called meeplesincluded.com. That is Meeples Included on Twitter and Facebook and at .com. And that is a collaboration between 8 people plus Jason and my friend Nicole every once in a while and other stuff. We are also at twitch.tv/Meeples Included. So almost every other Friday we do a stream called Games on the Rocks. We ladies have some drinks, we talk some games, and it is generally just really, really good fun. So follow us on Twitch at Meeples Included. I think that's all of the places I care about. Any others pop up for you?
My podcast, Docking Bay 94. And be sure to check out Talon Strike's website, too, for upcoming news and games.
He might even sketch you into a game and then just tell you about it.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. If anybody's willing to play a game of King's Champion, a 2-player jousting game of dice and worker placement, well, I'm sure we can work you in for playtesting over Tabletopia.
There you go. Get on that. Because that you just give them like a code and then they can log into your Tabletopia, right?
Yep. Just we'll give you a room link and we'll get you in and we can talk over Skype or Hangouts or whatever and play a game of it.
Awesome. That's cool.
It is. It's helped Wash and I play test a ton having that ability with him living in Arizona and me up in the Northwest. So
yeah, I still haven't done that over Tabletopia. It scares me because people were playtesting Lisboa from Vital Lacerda, and I almost went into that, but it's like 3 or 4 hours worth of stuff. I'm scared.
It doesn't replace board games by any means, but it's definitely a nice supplement.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's just another tool to use to get to the good stuff.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much for re-recording.
Oh, yes.
Episode 1. And we do have some Incomtech music if you heard it before and after. They are amazing, or he is amazing, and he offers up all of his stuff for attribution, no monies, so we will be happily plugging him here. We will link where to find that in the show notes.
Thanks, Maggie, for having me.
Thank you.
Always fun talking to you.